Good evening, and welcome again to Public Perspective. I'm your host, Kevin McDermott, and tonight we have a special show for you. We have some very interesting guests who are doing something really unusual. A very unusual stage in life for most people to do this. They are writing their first feature film. So we're going to talk about that film with all these wonderful people here from Friendship Village, right? So now we're going to test my ability to remember things. I'm going to try to name each of you, right? So we have Donna Gallagher, we have Barb Hershberger, we have Georgene Zibit-Fiorillo. Fiorillo.
Close.
That's close, all right. And oh, this is the hard one. I'm sorry. It's Donna Brown.
Yeah.
Right? And Donna, you are the active lifestyles manager at
Yeah, the
Friendship
activities
Village?
manager of
Activities
lifestyle.
Yes. And the three of you are residents, and together you're all writing this new feature film.
And Donna kind of got us started, so you want to say a little?
Sure, yeah. Well, actually, we did a film about 7 years ago. That was a huge success. It's only like a 20, 25-minute film. This one's going to be an hour and a half. So it's going to be very exciting. We started with Rebecca just saying to me, do you want to do another movie? She's our director.
And Rebecca, for those who don't know, who don't watch the show regularly, Rebecca is part of the team that produces this show.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay. And so I said, yeah, it's about time. So we put out a notice for writers. And then the writers came. You know, you call them and they'll be there. And this team of writers is just, they're marvelous. They are just really great. Everyone just comes up with the best ideas.
And these are three of the writers here. Right?
And we have two other writers. And they're not here with us tonight, Cindy and Ann. And they are really great writers, too. So the first couple of meetings, it was all about, what are we going to write about? So we're throwing some ideas out there, and then I think we all kind of decided that this would be fun and interesting with the topic they picked.
Yeah.
And so I'm astonished that the topic you picked is a science fiction theme set in a retirement community. I wouldn't put those two things together normally. But
Donna could respond to that.
Yeah.
Well, one of our lead characters is from another planet, and she gets stranded on Earth for a couple of weeks and meets another young person and becomes friends. And they communicate, and then they both end up at Village of Friends.
Now, I've often been accused of being from another planet, but in this case, you're talking about someone who actually is from outer space, right? So how does this person land here?
On a spaceship.
Of course. How else did they get here? What brings them to Earth?
She's a space explorer, and she's gone to different planets. And I think one of the things they were taking were stones and things, and they were concerned about water. Water was very precious on their planet. We did a lot of name reversal in it, so it's Shram rather than Mars. So we didn't want to get into trouble with the real name, so we did that. So she's here to collect those things, and there is a problem when they're being beamed back up into their spacecraft, and that's how she gets left as a teenager, and then comes back many years later to look for her friend, and her friend has gotten to Village of Friends.
Oh, well, there you go. So Village of Friends being, of course, Friendship Village, right?
Again, we don't want to have the real names.
It's all that trademark and copyright stuff that you have to worry about.
Who knows?
Right. Yeah. So, Georgene, what do you think is going on here? What brought you into this crowd?
I didn't start out right away with the group, but so the theme already was set up when I got involved, and so but it got to be very progressive, where it got to be more characters and more involvement. And the more I got to write and follow the dialogue of a certain character or another, I got personally involved. It seemed like you were creating something, and that became a part of you. And so we were a little concerned because it's already been over a year that we've been writing.
It took James Joyce 17 years to write his masterpiece.
We don't feel so bad.
Don't worry about it. Right.
And will probably be another year before it comes to the stage, the theaters being the one at our location. But you don't want to leave it now. It's become a part. It's like your baby. And
Georgene is the only one of the writers who auditioned for a part. She really did get involved in personalized.
So are you auditioning for the role you wrote? for the character you wrote?
At this point, it's sort of up in the air what part I will fill. Yes, I have an identification with the role I wrote, but then I have identification with all the characters because I've been pretty much a part since the beginning.
And there's also that passing the audition part, right? You got to get past that, right?
We
It's
were
up to
so-
them.
yeah,
The rest of
we
them.
were so excited when we put out the auditions, and we're a senior community, and didn't know what would come up. And we had, I think it was 18 people that came, and not only that, they were good, and they auditioned for us, and we're thinking, now we're in a quandary. We told them, and it's true, every single one that auditioned will have a part. Some are two-liners, some are extensive. You know, there are 5 main characters.
Did you create new parts because there were these other
We did.
applicants?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did some shifting. We had mother-daughter relationships, and we thought, we don't have mother-daughters here. So,
Right,
so
right.
we decided that they could be siblings, and that would
Okay.
work effectively. So we did some rewrite to include more Friendship Village people.
So how did you get this organized? Donna, I mean, you must have had a hand in the organization of this thing.
Well, yeah, basically, I mean, I just put a little blurb, a little flyer in our paper that we put out every week, and I said, we're going to make a movie, you know. So
No,
come to-
really, we are.
So
We're really
come
gonna
to the
make a
movie, you know, come to the meeting, and we had a meeting set up, and then we had, you know, we had more people, I think, in the beginning. And I think when they thought, well, maybe it's really not for me, they probably were more interested in the acting part. But then you find your writers that are really, you know, in tune with it, and they can have these really creative minds, which just amazes me, you know. And when they start writing, you can see that kind of like ownership at first. You know, everyone thinks that what they're writing is good. But then it kind of starts blending, and everyone goes, they help each other by saying, that's great. How about we add this? You know, and it just goes real nice. It really does. It just
And
kind of
we did
blends
lose
with
a
it.
couple of along the way that just got so tied to their own concepts that they just couldn't deal with the changes. So they, you
You
know,
have to
that's
be able to, I'm not going to say criticize, but critique, and still take it as such that it's not being, you know, nasty or anything, but it's really actually helping the movie on a whole, you know.
Yeah,
So.
you can't look at it and say, my stuff is great.
Right.
That's
And
right.
Yeah.
I think
Even as, we all know that our stuff
Yeah,
is
right,
great.
that's right.
But you have to be willing to change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we wrote more scenes than we wrote characters. I mean, we put together scenes, and whoever happened to show up in our scene, that's what the character was.
But you must have spent time developing the characters, right? Because all
Yes.
movies depend on
Right.
the believability of the characters in
Yeah,
it.
the background stories and all that. yeah.
Rebecca demanded it.
Yes, well, she did. We spent one day just saying, well, here's so-and-so. What is she like? What are her characteristics? So we'll know how to write
Several
what she
days.
wants to say or he wants to say in what kind of tone of, you know,
And we
so it
tried to
just
have
really worked out.
settings that were throughout our community. So we could have one in the dining halls with lots of extras. Have one where the people play bingo and lots of extras. Another one in the
Aren't they
fitness
called,
center.
you told me they're background
Background
actors.
actors,
Not
yeah,
extras.
Oh,
yeah,
that's right.
Roberta,
Excuse me,
yeah,
wrong
Rebecca
word.
You
said,
corrected me. Right?
yes,
Even
you.
though I
it's
thought
now
my stuff was
background
completely
actors, the
correct.
new term. No,
Yeah, but just anyway, most everyone who has a desire will be someplace within, and that we're excited about that. So,
Including Rebecca? No, she never was. I know her too well.
exactly.
So what's the hardest part about doing this?
Getting a scene started. I mean, once we got rolling on a scene, we rolled. But sometimes just getting the idea and getting the dialogue started. And once we got our characters talking, they talked.
And I
Just
think
on their
too,
own.
Yeah.
part of it was really trying to figure out what to write about, right? You know, we had so many different ideas out there, and we were talking about each idea and what we could do with each one. I think that was a big part, even that from the very beginning.
And obviously, Rebecca and Donna were cheerleaders, but we had another lady, kind of a consultant that was there. She was in the first film, and it was such a wonderful experience for her. She was always saying, this is so wonderful, you're just going to enjoy it. At the first one, they had rolled out a red carpet, you know, for the event, and she'd say, this is wonderful, I got this award. And she just, you know, kind of kept us going. You know, if you get into, you're bound to get into slow spots.
LaVon was our cheerleader, and it's true, she was in our last movie. So after we did the filming of the movie, the writing, the whole, you know, bit, I thought, well, we have to have a premiere party. So I did. I rented some red carpets, some stanchions. I talked to a limousine company, and I said, would you mind we're not really going anywhere, but I need you to pick up the actors and drop them off, go around the, go around the court, pick up some more actors and drop them off. We had paparazzi there. Everyone was with cameras. They came with their sunglasses. And so then when they went across the red carpet, you know, and we had 2 people there interviewing them and asking about, you know, what they're wearing tonight.
Oh,
so
wow, something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah, now
That
why
is fun.
can we not stick around for that? We
Yeah.
really
We
have
will.
to be
Oh, yeah.
exciting to
I
finish
said,
up that.
one of the helpful things also was one of our writers, she couldn't be here tonight, Anne, because it's her 60th wedding anniversary.
Wow.
today.
that's a little more important.
Yeah,
Yes.
but she had done some professional writing. And so we would come up with this concept, and she's, I think I could write some dialogue for that, and
Yeah.
and she just would flow. And many people, I pointed out Donna, because she says, I've never done anything like this. I can't write dialogue, and she's been one of the most creative persons on our team. So,
Great.
Right.
so
Yeah.
it brought out different qualities, I think, that we didn't see in ourselves.
And we talked about that a little bit before the show, that the accountant suddenly emerges.
Right.
The butterfly emerges from the chrysalis, right?
Yeah.
And here you are, a creative soul after all.
Yeah, I guess so.
And,
And it's fun.
It is.
and we won't talk about creative accounting.
No,
We're
we
gonna-
don't.
It's a different story altogether.
Right.
It'd be a different movie, different
Yes,
plot,
yeah,
different
well, we
outcome.
could do that.
Yeah.
Well, let's.
Well, how about if we
leave
give
it
two of the
in.
characters' names?
Sure.
To, the main
Oh,
characters,
goodness. All right.
So it's the
Yeah.
teaser, right?
Oh, it
It's
is
the
a
teaser.
teaser.
Edna
So-
is the person from outer space that is the adventurous explorer.
See if you follow and find a trend here.
Yeah.
And she has a sister and a brother, we decided. The brother is Trevor, and the sister is
Nas.
Nas-
Nassus.
Mhm.
Okay.
For the planet
And the
Shram.
friend who is on Earth,
Her name is Linda. Her brother is Robert. And her daughter is Susan.
It'll be your sister now. It'll be her
His
sister.
That's one of our
sister.
rewrites.
Whoops,
So,
sorry.
so this is
Yeah.
a quiz for me, right? I'm supposed
Yes.
to
You're
figure
supposed
out
to
This
say,
is
what
like-
did
Catch
we
it.
do? Yeah,
Right.
like Mars and
SRAM.
SRAM.
SRAM. So
It's
I
like
have
a
to
little
reverse-
mind,
Susan
a
and
mind
Nassus.
teaser.
Mind teaser.
Susan and Nassus.
Yes.
Nassus.
Robert and Trevor.
Just reverse.
Sorry, yeah, no.
They're reversed.
Just
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
letters
just
are
there is
The
an
reversed.
easy
names are
way-
reversed. So Robert, you know, from here, you know, from Earth, is Trevor from Shram. So the names are just reversed.
Ah, the Martians, the Sramians. right?
Sramians, that's right.
Sramians, yeah.
Right.
Or Shramites.
Shramites.
Sramites?
Yeah,
Okay,
Sramites
are
are from
reversed
Sramites.
from
Mm-hmm.
Earthlings. Yeah, you'd think I would have gotten that, but.
Yeah, okay.
And when they come to Earth, the main character, Adnil, had been here, you know, for a couple of weeks with her friend as a young person. But the brother and sister had never been here, so everything is new. The food is new, the fishing, you know, how you do that is new, and so lots of spots of humor, you know, that they, what is this? He had his complete capsules for meals until he found that cupcakes are pretty good. So they added, that gave us a chance to add some
And what's
humor.
that rabbit's name with
Oh,
Crit?
yeah, Crit.
yes, Crit, with 3 ears?
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little side
And of course,
side
these
animal.
people do look like aliens. There is something there that makes them, that you know they're not the same.
Oh,
But should
can't
we
tell
tell
that.
what they are?
No,
No. You have to get to watch the movie,
But the
right?
idea, here is the diversity
It will
and
be out
coming
on
together.
YouTube, I think,
Yes.
sometime.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if you want to see what the aliens look like, you have to
Few
go see the
secrets.
movie.
You have to see the movie, and it's going to be about an hour and a half, and it probably will be done in another year. And then we'll invite everybody.
Donna is working on locations, and you know, because we have a lot of it can be done on campus. We have a wooded area, so it would be, and we have garden homes as well as regular residential, and so we're seeing if we could use that for some of the sets that would be, and talk to them. And she just was on the way scouting out a jewelry store. But there's a scene.
Found one.
We
We
could-
found it.
They don't rob the jewelry store.
No,
does it?
No,
You talk about scouting out a jewelry store. That's,
Shouting out.
No, I didn't quite mean that kind of
Yeah.
scout.
Yes, and now we'll have the big job of trying to get people that'll be doing the props and will be doing the costumes and be helping us with sets and little things to get everything organized. So there's a place for involvement of many, and we have over 500 in our independent living. So I'm sure that we will get
Yeah,
the
there's like
numbers we
assistant,
need.
there'll be assistant to the director, there'll be someone that does the clap, take 4, take 1, take 2.
Take
And
437.
There you go. Yeah, well, we've seen that too. We also have that, the boom,
Yes.
okay. And I want to say either dolly grip or key grip. You know, we've experienced all
Yeah.
those different things.
But for us as writers, it's been quite the experience, you know, just to develop a storyline and to follow it through and changing constantly. And
It'll probably change once you start filming as well.
I think so.
You'll find some things that don't quite work the way you
Right.
thought they
We were
would.
doing auditions, and some of the people would be reading the script, and they actually did some changes because, you know, it was the way they talked, which is wonderful. And I
Right.
think that's probably going to always continue on.
So how did you come up with the overall plot? I mean, this movie, I assume, has a plot, right? I'm just
Yeah.
checking, right?
Yeah.
So how did you devise that?
It came.
changed.
It came slowly. That we really didn't set out with writing on this plot. There were things that were interjected by people, and they said, "Well, wouldn't it be interesting if they would do this, or the characters would say this?" And it just sort of, and that's how it got to be so lengthy, because we all had so many wonderful ideas, right?
I think the key here is retirement can be a lot of fun.
It
Right.
really
Right.
is.
Well, and you have the time to do this.
Yeah, we started out with just what happens if it would happen if aliens came to a retirement. That was our first, and then it just kept going.
So is the idea to have all of the roles, not just the acting roles, but all the production and behind the scenes roles that you talked about, you know, key grips, boom operators, set designers, costume designers. Is it the intent to try to get all of those, or as many as possible, filled by residents of
Definitely.
the community?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a
So-
reason of changing this mother-daughter to siblings in that case, to have more that could be a part of it. And have as much our own.
Uh-huh.
I think there was about almost 30 people, maybe not quite, but 30 people that tried out.
That's right.
So, yeah,
yes.
you know, within the 2 days, it was just,
And I said,
Amazing.
and good. We'd get up there and start, they would read part of the script, and it was, you know, cold reading most of it. And we're just blown away at how good they were. And then we'll have to, obviously, for the younger Adnil and Linda, we'll have to have younger players, so they have to come from the outside. We just can't find anybody that looks 18.
Who lives
and
there?
it starts back in what, 1965, right?
Yeah.
So we're already talking about, well, where are we going to get these items? You know, we need like things that are from that era, you know, so
Right.
we talked about that. So it's just not been like we're going to write a movie. There's so many parts to it. It just becomes just wonderful.
We will be authentic.
Yeah, the writing part's a very small part as we get going.
I think, yeah. I mean, I have never been involved myself in a feature film, but I know just doing this show
Right.
is enough. And other productions. I've been in stage productions and things, and I know something about what goes on behind the scenes, and it's enormous.
Yeah.
In fact, you know, just I think about costumes. You don't just have to go get costumes; you have to design them. What do they look like? You know, what do the aliens wear that make them look a little alien?
Right.
And then you have to get them made, right? So and then you have to see them if they fit, and they have to see if they
Right.
work on camera. So yeah, that sounds really exciting, though. that's,
Yes.
that's how you go through it, right?
Mhm, mhm.
So is this just the beginning of a trend? So you get this one done, and then you're going to go on to the next one?
I think this is a once in a lifetime.
Yes. That's what Roberta said. Rebecca said, once
All
in
right,
a
you
lifetime
don't think so?
experience. Yeah.
Well, this is the second one, so we can't say it's a one in a
That's
lifetime.
right.
There you
You're
go.
right. You're right.
Right.
But,
So you had a short film. Now you've got a feature film. Next, you'll need
Uh-oh.
an epic, right?
A trilogy, maybe.
A trilogy. Yeah.
There you go.
This can be the first part of the trilogy.
Right.
Right?
That- yes.
Great idea, Donna.
Yeah. And then we got to come up with ideas like we're going to show the space pod. We're calling it a pod. So it's just like getting our minds together. What should be in there, you know? And I think Georgene has some friends that actually do set decoration, right?
We'll try to get them
Yeah, we're trying to
involved,
get
you
them, yeah,
bet. They
yeah,
want
so-
to help, for sure.
So what's the idea of distribution? I mean, who do you want to have see this? Who's the audience?
The world.
The world.
Yes, of course. I was
Oh,
going to say, we have
you
to be
think large,
translated
Doc.
and everything else in foreign language.
Oh, yeah, put it on YouTube, and what is it, when they get all these hits? We want to have
Oh,
it go
it-
viral.
Go viral.
Go
Yeah.
We
viral.
want the tram rights to
That's what we're
see it.
looking
There
for.
you go. Right.
Yeah.
But is that the idea that you're going to distribute it through YouTube? Just put it up and-
You know, we talked about, we'll have the premiere at, you know, at Friendship Village,
Right.
you know, friendly. But I'm kind of thinking we might even be able, if we can find a theater that is interested in having us, for the families, you know, and anyone else that would be interested,
Maybe a
would be-
high school or something.
you know, so that could be one of our goals too.
Sure, you know,
think
there's
about
lots
it.
of movie theaters around, and they don't fill those seats every night.
No, they
so
don't.
Exactly.
you can probably find one or two that are interested in doing this.
Yeah, and there has been a couple that.
Yeah.
I remember
something
Rebecca
like
will help us along. She'll know what we need to do.
Yes.
And she's been a godsend. It's just been
Yeah, she's-
wonderful.
yeah,
to
she's
just-
amazing.
we learn so much and how difficult it is. We have a new appreciation for screenwriters across the
Right.
world.
Yeah, it just doesn't happen overnight, does it?
And we talked earlier about, you know, critiquing and having to, you know, kill your children. Like each paragraph is your child, but you have to be willing to just axe them out of there if they're not right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I take it that there's you don't really need a budget, or at least not much of one. You certainly don't need a marketing budget if you're going to put it up on
Right.
YouTube.
Right.
Do you have a plan though for trying to get it to go viral? I mean, that's a hit or miss thing. It's very hard to
Sure.
make things
Share
go
this
viral.
with all your friends and their friends' friends, and so on and so forth.
Come on shows like this, right, to tell people,
That's right.
all of our audience,
Yeah.
that they need to keep their eyes open. And the name of the movie is
No contact.
No
No
contact.
Contact.
Because Linda and Edna lost contact with
They
each
do
other.
lose contact for a while. So.
And so actually it could have been reestablishing contact, right?
It could be.
I don't mean to throw a monkey wrench in at this late stage.
Oh, I don't know if we want to change the title.
Short and simple, please.
Short and simple. That's fine. That's fine.
The trilogy. The next one can be that's something else. But
So really, I mean,
Right ahead.
thinking about distribution, there are a lot of things you can do. I mean, are any of you on Facebook? It's, so, you know, that's something that's possible. You can let people know and give them little teasers. Do you have any kind of like teaser plan for, you know, giving people little hints like, hey, this is coming, check this out? Or a little bit about, hey, guess what this character does in scene 5?
that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, I don't think.
Well, you know, we'll eventually get there, right?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't have plans yet. People, when they know I'm writing, and maybe the other girls have the same experience when we're writing, a writer sits at, we have dinner together, they'll ask, you know, well, what's it about? So you can only tell a certain amount. But yeah, that's passed along, you know. When is it coming out? Well, wait another year. I think we'll get it, you know. Don't get hyper about it.
Right.
And you know, when we first started doing this, we kept on saying, this is going to be a comedy, this is going to be a comedy. And as we were writing, we were saying, well, where's the comedy? We were really getting...
It's hard to write true comedy.
Yes.
It's very hard.
yeah.
So we just have light moments. We thought that was easier, or fun
Yeah,
moments.
but eventually it did, you know, work out. But at first it was becoming such a drama. Well, I don't know, it's a new thing, drama,
And then
sci-fi,
and then
right?
it kind of melted down at the end, and
Yeah.
Rebecca reminded us, no, you have to have a.
It's got a punch. It's gotta come to a
Yes.
climax at the end.
Right.
So we came up with a punch, and we're very
Well-
happy with
Well,
it.
don't feel bad about comedy. You know, years ago I was watching, I think it was Jay Leno and Pat Riley, who was then the general manager of he might have even been with the Lakers at that time. And he came on and, you know, he was trying to be funny, and everything he did really kind of just fell flat.
Yeah.
And-
That's horrible.
And Leno looked at him and said, yeah, this comedy thing, it's harder than you think, isn't it? Yeah. And it is. Everyone thinks that they can be funny, but it's a much different deal when you're trying to write it for other characters to be funny.
Right. But there are some moments, I'll tell you, it's, you know, you just start laughing, you know. Someone will bring this in and they'll just start reading and go, oh my gosh, and everybody just cracks up because, yeah.
What other challenges did you face, especially as first-time writers?
Having time.
Wait a
all
minute,
of us
you're
are very.
retired.
That's what we please. You know what they say. I retired, but I have less time available. Especially at Friendship Village, there are so many variety of things that are available
that
to
we're
you.
involved in, yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
everybody is involved in other things. Yeah, it was finding sometimes the time, and then, oh my gosh, we've got our session on Monday. It's Saturday. We better get down to business.
Just like homework, right? Going
Yeah.
back to youth.
I think
Wait.
sometimes,
for me
yeah.
it was the rewrites. I thought, oh my goodness, are we going to go over this again?
rewrites are
And
hard.
just, you would think well, it needs to be tweaked a little bit there, and it turned into a page. And that, you know, there were lots of conversations about before the dialogue was written, and then I think the writing a dialogue was new to all of us.
Did you guys ever have writer's block? Did you ever find that or no?
There were times when it drug and we couldn't seem to get moving, and then all of a sudden we would be inspired, I guess, and then we'd start off again.
Right, right.
Now, you mentioned writing dialogue, which I would think is very difficult. I mean, what little creative writing I've done, I've always have to read it back to myself out loud and just say it out
Yes.
loud. To say, does this sound like something someone would actually say? And did you find yourself doing things like that? Well,
Yeah, you could see that.
She would, Donna's a head thinker, she'd say, well, I have this idea in my head. I said, write it down, write it down.
Yeah, well, we walk a lot at Fringe Village. There's a lot of places to walk, and I'd be walking around outside especially and thinking of these things, and, you know, they just kept, you know, what would I say if I were in that position or that character? And then eventually I'd get around to getting it on paper. But it kept changing while I was walking.
That's why you need a little recording device. So you can just
No.
speak it. Well, you know, now you used to think that people who talk to themselves out on the street were crazy, and now everyone's got their cell phone, and so it's like everyone looks like that.
They're writing plays.
They're writing plays. Yes, they're not talking to their
Our
friends.
movies.
Yeah, they're writing plays.
Right.
Yeah. That dialogue about make sure you go to the store before you get home, honey. That's really a line in the play. They're not actually talking to a spouse.
Oh.
That's
Oh, and you know, don't we have like a language that's a little different than the English language too? We do.
Ah,
We
the
came up
alien
with
language?
a language from Shram.
Oh, yes, when the person on the spaceship is talking to Adnel, he uses Shramite. So we have, and we had some auditions that could do that, just, we did the same thing backwards, a sentence backwards, and something like that. And some of them did it so beautifully. It was
did.
really
And you
nice.
just looked at him and said, "You're hired."
Yeah. You must be from Shram. You
Yeah,
must be.
Either that or you've always thought backwards and you finally found your calling in life, so you can speak backwards.
And again, I'll mention Ann and Cindy, who couldn't be here tonight, because
Yeah.
they've been a great deal of help and just in all the things. Ann was telling us that she was a speaker at some occasion. I heard her say that on vacations they would go to the beach or someone with their grandchildren, and all week long she would be writing little things that they'd done all week, and then the grandchildren would perform at the end of it. So she had the concept before of, you know, pulling together the ideas and the thoughts, and that was very helpful, because sometimes you just get a thought out in left field and where would I go with that, and she had that knack of, you know, pulling it
Definitely.
back. So,
Well, there has to be that central idea that someone who can knit these things together into some coherent whole, right? Well, not
and
all
like
movies are
Georgene
coherent.
said, she identified with the character so strongly. She said, I've got to write about Susan. I just got to write this because I know how that would be. And so you put yourself into it.
How else do you get great art, right? You have to put your heart and soul
That's
into
right.
it.
It is.
Right?
That's right.
So what have you learned individually about yourselves from this kind of effort?
That I get very impatient.
Ah.
And you didn't know that before?
I really wasn't that vivid or strongly aware of it. I think I knew it back in my mind, but boy, did it come out in this, you know, just to move on, let's get this done. And there's just things that have to just flow. You've got to go with the flow.
Well, speaking of going with the flow, we've gone with all the flow we have.
Oh,
So
no!
we're out of time already. So I want to thank each of you, Donna, Barb, Georgene, and Donna. So thank you so much for being here. It's been a pleasure. And I'm going to sign up to be at that opening ceremony.
All
Saturday.
right.
Wonderful.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
It was
thank you.
We
it was a
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
My pleasure. And thank you for joining us once again on Public Perspective. I'm your host, Kevin McDermott. You can find us every Saturday night at 8 on Comcast Channel 19. Find us on the web at publicperspective.tv and follow YouTube and look for No Contact. So until next time, thank you and good night.